Hey guys, it's the WordPress Doctor here and welcome to part 3 of all Divi Modules video series. In this video I'm gonna take you by hand. I'm gonna show you a lot of fun modules of Divi. I'm gonna teach you how you can change them, how you can optimize them, and also gonna show you some CSS snippets that I use for my clients on their websites. For example, how can we create this funny persons module, how we can change the percentage sign of the number counter modules, and also how to stop the sliding animation in the post slider. And I'm gonna show you a bunch more. So let's get started and have some fun. Alright, so the next module we're going to create is the persons module. Because we have had all these modules in the past, so let's go with the persons module. Now the person module is a very nice module if you want to create, for example, like this, your specialist. We're on a website who sells cars. You can actually drive like the WordPress Doctor, and I mean, it looks like this, so that is amazing. Alright, so let's create our specialists. The first thing you notice when you add this module is you get an image and the name, position, and your content. So let's fill that out really fast right now. So we have something to work with. The Total Car Freak, he is the owner of the company. Really a Google Plus profile URL. That is just really old. Alright, so we have the first Car Freak and you can of course add some content about it. I really like cars. From when I was a little boy and I just played with my sister's Barbie camper. I totally took it apart and built it out to a Hummer. Alright, so let's give this guy an image. So let's use this guy as our Total Car Freak. Alright, let's style this image a bit. First, we are going to design, we're going to the image. So let's make all these corners rounded because I don't like the style of this. So let's add 50% and bam! That's awesome! Alright, if you want a border, you can just add a little border. I like this. Let's make it, well, what's the color of this website? I think it is a bit red. Yeah, the dark red. That looks great. All right, let's change this to dark red. Let's make it a little bit less intense. And of course, you can add a shadow if you want to do that to the entire box. That looks really great. Let's go to the text. The text shadow. I wouldn't add a text shadow, but I do like to align my text in the center because I'm talking about people right now, so that looks a little bit better. Let's make the title text a little bit bigger and let's give it a awesome font like Montserrat or Poppins. I really should make a video about most used fonts online because that will be interesting. Total Car Freak, that's great. All right, the owner, well, it's a little bit small, so let's make it a little bit bigger and let's make it like that. No, I did like the color. I did. Oh yeah, the icons you can change on the top and you can also make them the style of your website. So I would suppose, oops, let's make it a little bit of dark red like there. This is a great color. Let's use that also for the border. Let's go to image, then you go to border and just change the color. All right, this is great. So now we have a persons module, which is very easy, very simple. What are more things you can do with this one? You can, of course, add a shadow to the entire box. You can do that, but if you're doing that, you need to add some little spacing. So we go to spacing, we go to padding, and we're gonna add a little bit more padding, especially to the left and right. As you can see, this looks way better than we had before. So using this, you can actually create a really awesome little card. As we're talking about car specialists, this really looks nice. So we're gonna, this is awesome. Now, another thing I was supposed to do, we could add a background. Now, I don't advise to do this, but let's add a little bit of gradient. Let's go with the dark red as we just have used, and let's go with white also. Now, the thing we can do now is really great. We can change the gradient, and we can make it a hard line with these starting positions, as you can see like that. Now it is a very hard line. And as you now can change this all the way you would like to do. But just keep in mind, you still must be able to read the text right there. So I think we should make this a little bit more or less intense, and then we get a really nice effect right there. So I like that, right? So let's change this to another one, and we're gonna change it to another one. And then we have a beautiful specialist theme awaiting for you to buy your next beautiful car. Those are really beautiful cars, aren't they? All right, so what can you do more with these person's modules? Well, it's very nice if you add a little bit of hover animations. So we go to design, we go to transform, and we go to transform translate, and we press this hover button. And now when you hover your mouse over the module, it will really pop out like this. All right, you press save changes, and now when you save this page and we exit this visual builder, what will happen right now is when you go to this area, when you hover your mouse over it, it will just pop out. So that's really awesome. So this is the basic module. Now let's create something really awesome with some custom CSS. So when you move your mouse over it, the images will, well, just take a look at what will happen. I'm gonna give you a CSS snippet, which is really nice, and you can actually change it the style you want to do. So let's go to the settings of this page right there. You go to advanced, you go to custom CSS, and you paste here the CSS snippet that I have put into the description of this video. So you can just download it and use it the way you want it. Now let's see what happens when I add this. We press save, and then you go to your module, you go to advanced, you go to CSS ID and classes, and we add this class right there. Now what you can see is when you now hover your mouse over your module, that's amazing. That's so cool. So now you can just really customize your module and these effects. So for example, if you go to your custom CSS again of this page, you will see that I have added some really cool stuff right there. So when you look at this snippet, you can now change, for example, the scale of the transformation of the image. If you put it to 1.3, it's going to get really big. If you put it back to 1.1, then that's really cool the way it is. And if you scroll even further down, you can change here the background of the social link. So now it is red. As you can see, when I move it, you can see it changing right there. So let's change it to a light one. And when you hit it, it's going to be yellow. Well, you can just change that in your, here's the yellow code. So you can just change it in the CSS snippet. But this is really cool. So let me show you how it looks right now when we go to this section of our specialist and we hover our mouse over our theme. Well, this looks great, so now you have an idea about the person module. Let's go to the next module. Alright, so the next module we are going to talk about is the number counter. And this module is actually pretty basic, a number with a counter on it. It's pretty simple, but with this number counter we can create some pretty cool stuff. Let me show you how to do it. Let me add here a title. So your title will be websites built, and I don't want this person sign, but we can turn it on later on because I will show you how to change the person sign to a $sign or anything else. Alright, if you want to make this module link out to anything else, you can do it right here. Background, of course, we can change it. We'll be changing this later on. All right, let's go to design and we go to your text. Oh, hold on. Websites built, you can see it anywhere. So where is it? Well, just press the brush icon right there, or you go to design and you go to title text. And here we can change this to white, and there it is. To make it more consistent with the rest of the website, we go to this brush icon and we press this color. I've created it. I use this color more in this entire website on this page, so this one looks better. Okay, so I have built 121 websites. And you can of course add shadows to it, but basically this is all there is about this module, because it is very, very simple and straight to the point. The funny thing is, now when you load the page, you will see, let's save it first, you will see a beautiful counter module inside of your page. So it's pretty useful and it's pretty funny. Let's see how it looks on the front end. Exit the visual builder. And we scroll down and here we go. It's pretty neat, right? Now I'm going to show you another few things we can do with this module. For example, right now I want to clone this one. I drag it over here and we're going to change this one to dollars earned, and let's make this 5,268. Right, to go to elements and we going to add this percent sign. Now we're going to do some pretty nice trick. We're going to advanced, we go to custom CSS, and we go to the percent sign. So we're going to change this one, and I'm going to make this like with dollars earned, 5,847. Right, then you go to advanced, we go to CSS and classes, and we're going to add the class of dollar. So then you go down here, you go to your page options, and you go to advanced custom CSS, and you add this snippet you can find inside of the description of this video. And as you can see right now, what happens, it immediately changes to a dollar sign. Isn't that awesome? Now, if we save this one right now, and we exit the visual builder, and now if we go to our section, you will see that the dollars are adding up. Isn't that awesome? So you can of course change this to everything you like. So earn a passive stream of income like this, and well, you get the idea. And of course you can change anything with this dollar sign. For example, if you want to have another sign right there, let's make it for example euros. Then we need to change the CSS class to euro. We save this one. We go back to the CSS of this page options. Advanced custom CSS, and we're gonna copy this one, create another one. We're gonna call it euro, and then we're gonna make the sign, for example, a euro sign. It's unbelievable, but it works. So you can do this with everything you want, with all combinations and keywords and things on your keyboard. It's amazing. But you can also, let me try if this works. This is awesome. So you can also change and add some crazy icons. So I really don't know why you want to have it, but you can. It's just to show you that you can add anything inside of there. You can also add the elegant themes icons, but you have to change a little bit more. But just be creative. All right. So we're gonna add right now. Let's change this back to euros. I'm gonna show you right now how you can add a beautiful background around and make it round. So you go to background. We go to, let's make it white, for example. No, let's make it this color, and we're going to change the title back to white. All right, now we're going to create a circle of this background. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to show you. So you just go to design, you go to border, and here you can add this 50%, and let's see what happens. It doesn't look very neat because it is a bit too small. So what are we going to do about that? We go to design, we go to sizing, we go to height, and we're going to change this a little bit to make it, for example, 100 pixels. Well, that's really not the way we should do it. 200 pixels, maybe 4. Whoa. All right, 300 pixels. This looks awesome because now it is a beautiful circle. However, it's a little bit too big. It is huge. We're going to spacing and we're going to add a padding right there. As you can see, oh, here we go. Now it, right, so now you can have a border around it, a circle around it. If you want to create it, now you know how you can do it very easy. If you also want to have a border, sure, why not? Let's make a white border around it. And now this looks pretty funny. So there's not much more to say about the number counter module, so let's go to the next one. So the next module we are not going to talk about is the portfolio. Why are you not going to talk about? Well, I'm going to show you why. If you go to insert module and we scroll down and we just had about the person, we go to portfolio. But as you can see, the portfolio is actually quite the same as the filterable portfolio, which we already discussed in another video. So the link is up there. So if you want to watch how we're gonna style this one, just watch that because it's exactly the same, but there are no tabs above it. So have fun, and we're going to the next module. So the next module we're going to create is the post navigation. Well, as you drop down here, we're going to add a new module there, and it's called the post navigation. The post navigation is a module which you can customize your next and previous links to another pages. They are highly customizable, so that's pretty awesome. So I've created a page. This is a page, not a post. And what you can do right there is the previous link and the next link. You can see the contact is one and the audit, the website audit, is another one. The previous link and the next link. As you can see down there, it's gonna change to previous link and the next link. And we're gonna style it in a bit, just hold on, we're gonna make it a button. So with the categories option, you can actually make this next and previous link go to some page or some post in the same category. If you're using a post, then it's most likely that it is created inside a category. If you have a page, for example, or another kind of page, you can just add here a custom taxonomy name, which will be connected with each other. So if you have multiple pages, you give them the same name right here, like jewelry. And if I go to another page and also give it the same custom taxonomy name, it will appear right there in our module. So it is pretty useful. I'm gonna turn it off right now or else you won't see anything. So let's go to navigation. You can only show the next link or the previous link, whatever you want. You can change, of course, the backgrounds of the entire link. So let's make them, what's the style of this page? Well, let's make them a bit goldish, yellowish. That is not goldish. This is better. All right, of course, we have to change the padding if you're going to do this. So we go to design, we go to spacing. We're gonna add a little bit of padding right there. Here you go. Well, those are huge. So let's make it 5. Of course, we're gonna add a border into this button, so it really looks like a button right now. As you can see, this is hideous, but you get the idea what's possible. We only need to change the text of this button right there. So we are going to links text. We're gonna change the font to something nicer. Let's make it Poppins. And if you make it black, then this is better, way better. So now you can just change anything you want for the text. And let's make the font weight a little more semi-bold. And you can also add shadows to your text. I would not recommend it right there. You can also add shadows to the entire buttons. Those look kind of nice. Yes, kind of nice. Of course, let's use the transform options. So when you're hovering over your button, it will actually behave like a button. So what happens when you hover over a button? It just goes, it becomes a little bit bigger. All right. So the only problem I have with this transform option is when I change it, look at them. They are both going to change. And that is something you don't want, because when you hover over one button, you don't want to make them both move. So we're not going to use the transform options. So the only thing I would like to see is when I hover my mouse over this one, only that one changes its background color. Because now when I go to content, I go to background, and I'm going to change this into hover mode, and then I'm going to change it to dark. Well, as you can see, they both will change into this dark. I don't want it. I just want only one to change, and that's going to be way awesomer. We're just gonna add some custom CSS. So we go to this page, we go to advanced, we go to custom CSS, and just paste in this little custom CSS snippet, which you can find in the description of this video. Now, when you hover your mouse over this button, you can see only one of them is changing color. If you want to change the color to something else, just click here on your background and change it to anything you want. And that just changes the background color of your buttons. Isn't that awesome? Right, so now you know how you can use this module. Mainly you will probably use it inside of your Divi theme builder and place it into your blog post. So it will be automatically added to every website. Just remember, if you're using it in other pages than just one, you have to add this CSS snippet not only to this page, but to all your pages in the Divi theme options. All right? Let's go to the next module. So we're gonna stay on this page a bit longer because the next module has everything to do with posts. It's gonna be the post slider. So let's add the post slider in right there. Well, as you can see, the post slider is just exactly what it says it does. It shows your post and puts it in a slider. So I have created all my the videos that we have created. So as you can see, the categories. Let's just start with the beginning with this module. What can you do with this thing? Well, of course you can make it full white. So if you want to create this entire module full white, you just go to the row settings, you go to design, we go to sizing, and we're gonna make this 100% and also this one 100%. And here you go. Now you have a full white slider. However, the first thing you will notice is that the featured image is not the same size as it should be. So let's not do this right now. I'm going to show you later on how we can make that more beautiful. Just go to the options of the post slider. And here you can choose your post count. So this is actually the number of how many posts do you want to have in your slider, because if you have 1000 posts already on your website, it's gonna be a great big mess. As you can see here in the lower side corner, you can see all these little dots here. Those are all the posts that's being loaded inside of this slider. I have some old thumbnails right there, but it's no problem. So if you have 100 posts, then they will show them all down there. You don't want that. So let's make this post count, for example, only 5 posts in this slider. As you can see now, we have only 5. You can, of course, change the category. So let's go with Divi. Now we have 5 posts in the Divi category. Okay, so all Divi modules. All right, so the other, you really should check this out because this one is cool. All right, so the included categories, let's go with Divi. Here you can choose your order by, well, it's very easy, straightforward, new to old to new, your titles, or your random. This is very interesting. If you have a lot of visitors coming back to your website, you should change it to random. All right, so the button, you can change the text of your button. So I'm going to change it to learn more. The content display, you can change it to show the entire content. I would really not recommend it because I have a lot of content on the posts and I think you also do that. Always use show excerpt and you can turn it on or off, whatever you want. All right, I would suggest you turn this on. Now the post excerpts can be found, of course, in your blog post when you're creating it on the right side. So here you can define the length of your excerpts and the offset number. This is the offset number and has nothing to do with your excerpt, but this is just, if I change this to 1, it will skip the first post in the line and it will go to the second one from new to old, because that's what we used for ordering. So if you change this, for example, to 4, then it will skip 4 posts and we only have 1 of them, as you can see. All right, just change it to 1. All right, let's go to the elements. Do you want to show your arrows? Yes or no? Do you want to have the controls? Those are the ones below. Do you want to read more button? And do you want to have the post meta? These are just all things that you have to change. Let's going to put them all on yes, so we can change them and you'll see what happens. The featured image is, of course, the image you have chosen for your posts. You can turn this on. As you can see, it is pretty nice. But you can also turn this off and use, for example, a background for a color or something. You can change it all right there. Let's turn this on and let's do it on the left side. This is pretty nice because now your dimensions of your image are not blown up if you go full wide. So let's use this one and go to settings of the row, design, sizing, and let's change this one to 100% and also this one to 100%. And now we have a full wide post slider that's just working with a background color. So you could also use a gradient to make things really cool. As you know exactly how it works, you can just change this one. All right, so this is pretty cool. Now we have the same style as the images used, so that is okay. So now you know how it works. I don't think it's really beautiful, but we'll just go with this one. But you can actually use a background image also to make it really awesome. If you use a background image, I would really suggest you use something like this. So that, yeah, this is pretty cool. So what happens now when you just scroll down to the next one, your background stays intact and just a new post will appear. Well, this is doable. So we are going with this one. All right, we go back to the settings and we have changed the background of the module to a gradient and a background image combination. And let's go to design. In the design overlay, you can use the background overlay. As you can see, there is one active right now. If I press no, it turns a little bit lighter. And you can use also a text overlay, which is really awesome if you have a really bright background or a image or something like that. And if you want to use the text overlay, you can just style it right here. As you can see, you can make it more darker, less darker, more transparent, anything. You can do anything with this text overlay. It's really awesome. You have a lot of options and things to choose from. Right, the navigation here, you can change the color of the arrows. It's pretty straightforward. And the dot navigation arrows, of course, change the color right there below. Let's make them more the style of this module. But now you could actually use them. So I would suggest if you don't like this and you're noticing that when you're changing the design, you're changing these arrows to some color that you can't really see, just remove them because nobody will ever notice them. All right, let's go to the image. You can make the corners of the featured image round. That's possible, but now you have a problem because now you have to also change this colors. And you have to make this one also rounded corners because it just doesn't look very nice. Let's delete it. You can of course add a border color to the image. These images are not very suitable for it, so let's leave that. So shadow is very nice with this layout, so let's make this one. All right, so let's change the text. This is very straightforward. Just change your text the way you would do it with hovering your mouse over it, press this brush icon, you will go to straight through here. You can just change the text size. I think it's really big, so let's make it a bit smaller. As you can see, it's going to render the entire animation again, so you have to be a little bit patient when changing this. I think this is great. All right, let's change the meta. So exactly the same with the titles, you can change the meta the way you want it. Let's give it another color. I would definitely give it a little bit of more coloring because I would make it gray, so there is a little bit more a difference between the title, the meta, and the description. All right, this is this one, and the sizing, you can change, of course, the body sizing. So what is it that I don't like about this? I think it is all too cropped. It is too small. The meta is too close to the text right there. So what are we gonna do about that? So we go to advanced, we go to custom CSS, we're going to the slide meta, and we're gonna add something like this. Margin bottom is 25 pixels. Here you go. Well, it's a bit too much, so let's go with 15. That's way better. So now you can see you have more spacing, and it just feels relaxed here. I think this is way better. So you can change anything with custom CSS like this. You can also create your slide description, make it lower, just copy this one right there. You can also use it for your title, just paste it in right there, and you see instantly spacing is changed right there. Let's go further. We were to just design, we have to meta test. Let's go to the button. Button, you know how to change a button, so I'm really not going to change all of this and show you exactly how you should do it because you already know that. We're just gonna make it a little bit bigger, so people would really click on it because it's really big now. And if you really want to click on it, you have to make it some other color than your original website design, so that it really pops in your face. That would be questionable if you want to use this one, but just try something out, and if it fits, then just keep it. You know how it works, so if you want to know more about the button module, just go on into my first video about the Divi modules, and we're not talking about this button. Of course, we have the sizing, the spacing, the box shadows. If you want to change this shadow, it's going to give a shadow to the entire module, so don't use it right there. Transform it also, this is just going to transform your entire module. So this is something I don't want to use in my module. So the last thing I want to show you is just to add an animation. If you press this automatic animation and you're just gonna add like 4 seconds, then this thing will move automatically when your website is loaded. And we exit this visual builder and we're going to see this module. As you can see now, the module will move after 4 seconds, the thing will automatically move. However, when it moves, you can see all the animations. Some people really don't like those animations. How can we fix this? Well, it is pretty easy. You just go, we have to add some CSS code to stop this animation. Pretty easy. You just go to the settings of your module. You go to advanced, we go to custom CSS, go to the slide description, and we're gonna add this animation a non-important opacity as well. Also add it to their title, and of course we're also gonna add it to the slide image. And now, as you can see, it will no longer move so excessively. It will just have a small animation on the change of the post. So it is quite nice. Let's see how it works. Yeah, this is way better. So you don't see any moving things. It just fades away. This is awesome. So if you want that snippet, just go into the description of this video. It is right there. All right, let's go to the next module. For the next module, we're going to change gears. We're going to the Divi theme builder. If you're not using the theme builder, please go watch my video about 22 things you're doing wrong with Divi, because this is something, it will really boost up your productivity and it gives you amazing flexibility with your pages, posts, and your website. So let's go to the theme builder. Let's go to the custom body for all posts. So this body is being loaded into our posts. As you can see, I only have added, right there, I only added 3 things to see at my custom post. You can see the post title, which we're going to talk about right now, the post content, and the blog. The post content, you will only see this module in the Divi theme builder. And I already added it, so now it's gone from my list. So the post content is actually the content of your post, and the title is, of course, what we're going to talk about right now. It is the title of your blog post. So this is basically, it is very straightforward, but you can use it this way. It's very logical because the content will not create your title. So when you go to the post title settings, you can change, of course, what will be shown. The title, yes. The meta, yes. The author, no, because I'm only one author. So let's remove that one. The date format, or you can add the Dutch date format. It's the day, month, year. You can change anything you want. The categories, yes, no. The comments, yes, no. And your featured image, which is very useful if you want to use big, beautiful featured images. All right, so where would you place your featured image? Well, it is also nice to use it as a background. Now you can see it, but the background image could be, the title and meta could be used above your image. If you're going to do that, you need a background, because most of the time you can't read your title and meta anymore, because you have probably the most beautiful pictures as your featured images. So you want to add a background image, for example, white, and you're going to make it a bit transparent like this. You really have to check on the front end how it looks on your website. Okay, so you can just save it, or you can make it a little bit darker and just make it a little bit transparent right there. So if you want to make your dynamic post title in full white with your image behind it, you just go to your row settings, go to design, you go to space, you go to sizing, you place this one 100% and this also 100%. And now you will see that this is almost 100%. Well, it has to do with the thing, the way this is built up. So you can change also this one to sizing and go with 100%. Go with 100%, and now this module is also 100%. I don't know if you want it, because it has to look cool and it has to look great on your website, but this is the way how you can actually do this. Now what you can do with your titles, this is just a way of Divi to change all your titles and the meta descriptions. For example, you can change the color, you can change the size. Basically it's that easy and simple the way you do it. So when you save this one and you go to one of your blog posts, you will see how it looks. It's pretty awesome, and this is actually the only way how I use the post title module. All right, let's go to the next module. So for the next module, we are going to build the tea for two, because a WordPress doctor recommends drinking tea and not coffee to get you hydrated. All right, what we need on this page is, of course, a pricing table. So let's go to the prices of the subscriptions tea, and let's go into the pricing tables. Now the pricing table is a very nice module of Divi, which I use a lot of times because it really works great and you have a lot of options. So let's go through them right there. The first thing you will notice is that it's really boring. It is gray. As you can see, the style of this page is a little bit more greenish with black, but especially greenish because it's organic theme. All right, so you start out with just two columns. They call it a table title. So if you want to make 3 of them, that's all possible. If you want to make 4, I would not recommend it. Why? Because in the psychology and the marketing, 3 choices are best. If you go to 2, you don't want to have 2, you don't want to have 4, you want to have 3 choices. Just Google it. It's been researched many times. So we just go with 3 columns. All right, so the first one, it's the subscription. Let's fill this out really fast. So the first one is tea for 1, and it's enough tea for your entire week, and we're gonna price it at $150. Let's add a few features. Now the beautiful thing about the features is if you add a plus, it will be this black color, which we can change, of course. And if you add a minus, then it will turn a little bit gray. So you can actually compare the prices and compare the features of this table. So that's very useful. So we're gonna style this a little bit. Let's create a little bit more content on this one. 25 bags of tea, a custom cup. And you also receive a custom plate. And well, that's about it. And what is not included? Well, of course, personal tea advice, personal tea coaching. Oh, we're gonna add a little bit of capitals right there. Let's change it to 1 time, or else people don't know what you mean. All right, so this is great. We're gonna add this one, and we're gonna save this, and we're going to the next one. We're gonna change the title also. Enough tea for the entire week, and let's price it at $250 because it has to be interesting. Let's change this one, and let's change this one to the plus. You get also personal tea advice. Really cool. Let's go to the last one, and this is of course going to cost you $950 because this is T for your street. Enough T to feed a elephant. And of course, now you get also personal tea advice, but also personal tea coaching, because you have to be coached how to drink your tea. All right. So that's pretty cool. Now we have the prices and the elements and the content. So now we're gonna style this one. You go to elements and you can even turn off the bullets. Whatever you like. I like the bullets, so I keep them in there. Let's go to design. We go to layout, the background color of the featured item. That's interesting because I didn't explain you that. So let's make the T for 2 the featured one. You go to your featured price you want to have featured. You go to design, you go to layout, you go to make this table featured. What will this do? It will make it pop out a little bit because it's going to be higher and the color is going to be different. So I like that. So we're going to do that because this way you can actually move your customers to have a preferred option. You can also say something like this one is most bought. Most people buy this one. You can also help people a little bit. So let's save this one. And you go to design, we go to bullets, and here you can change the bullet colors. We're going to change the bullet colors to the nice organic color of our entire page, because it has to be the same. I like to be consistent. Now let's go to the text alignment. You can center all of them. This gives you a real spacing feeling, but I do like, however, I do like this more because it's more readable. That's just personal preference. You can change it, of course. The header background color. Let's see what happens when I change this one. I like it. I like it a lot. Featured title. This is, of course, this one. Let's leave that to white. Table header background color. This is from the other ones. Oh, the other ones. And we're going to make it also greenish. And I like this one, but let's make it a little more darker. So that's it. This looks awesome. Now you know that this one is the preferred one. All right, let's scroll down. Let's see the title text color, the title level heaven, the title fonts. You can change the fonts. For the, yeah, this one, Poppins, of course. Let's make it bold. Yes, I like it. Let's make it center. It's already centered, so that's cool. We can use a shadow, of course. Oh, that really pops. So let's make it with a color. The body font you can change, of course. The font of your... You're just gonna make this a little bit more consistent with the rest of your website. And you can, of course, change it. I don't have to explain you how to change all these things because you know. This is the subtitle text. This is this one. All right. One thing I do want to point out is the background color of the featured one. You can change this and leave the rest the same. So it is pretty useful. We're not going to do it right now, but you can change it. The currency color, let's make it greenish. And let's make this also greenish. Price text color, here you can change the color of your pricings. Let's make this one hideous red. And let's make this one organic green. As you can see right now, this is just the way how you can change all these columns. So it is pretty basic, pretty straightforward. I really like all these options within this module. So what I would suggest you do is, well, you should really know it yourself, but you can also change the borders of your module. So let's just round off the borders on the top. This is really great. I'm really happy with this one. You can use also shadows. Oh no, this is a box shadow of the entire module. You don't want that. No, you don't. However, you can add shadows to different columns. I go to content and select the gear icon of the one you want to change. And you go to design, you go to box shadow, and it's beautiful. I want that shadow to be everywhere. Alright, so we're just gonna add them manually to all of the box shadow. Yes, alright, so this is pretty nice. Pretty nice. So if you go to design and we go to exclude item text, here you can change the excluded item text colors. So you can change them, for example, to really ugly orange, or to white, or to black, or to a little bit shining through grayish style. So there you can change the excluded item text. It's awesome, and you know how it works. Now, where are my buttons to buy this thing? That's a very good question. Let's go to the one. Here's the button, buy now. We add the button buy now, but why doesn't it show right there? It's pretty easy because you didn't add a link. So you go to link and you add a button which is buy or whatever your URL is. If you use WooCommerce, you can actually put in a product link which will actually refer you directly to your cart. I'm going to talk about that one in my WooCommerce videos, so it's going to be awesome. Alright, this button really doesn't look great. So we're going to design, we go to button, and we're going to change the entire button just the way you know. I want it to be white with this organic green, very nice. Of course, the white border button, you can change it up. You know how to style buttons, don't you? So I'm not going to show you all the way. It's just the way the button works. If you want to have a button right there, then you just go to the second one and you add a button buy for 2. And of course, don't forget to add a link buy for 2, for example. And we press OK. And T for your entire street. We're going to call this I like elephants. Alright, we go to the link, and here, of course, elephant buy. Right, if you're still watching now, I think you really get the picture. Let's move on to the next module. The next module will be a search module right there. Alright, so this is pretty awesome. So the search module is basically a module that would search your entire page, or you can just put in exceptions. No pages, for example, no posts, or only categories within your posts. So this search module is pretty useful. So let's create it real fast because it's really simple and straightforward. The input placeholder is, of course, the text you will see on your website on your search module. For example, search right there. You can't read it very good because it's transparent, but if you don't like the button, you can just use this one. Now is your button gone? So this is really awesome. So we're gonna make it a little bit more better to see. So let's make it a little bit more transparent. The field focus should be white. So when you click on it, it becomes entirely white, not transparent anymore. And the field focus text color should be black when you click on it. All right. The field font, change it to Poppins. We're really gonna pop it out. And you can, of course, change your position of the field text. However, I would keep it on the left side and go make it a little bit smaller. How you can make it smaller? Well, you go to sizing. Just make it the size you want it to be. And then you can place it anywhere within your row. So we're gonna keep it on 50%. We're gonna keep it on the right side. And of course, now you can also move it more up. So here you go. There is a better way to do this, because now it will just flip anywhere, and when you resize this page, it will just not behave the way you like it. If you want to do this, just add a new row and enter like thing to in here. Because now the search thing is just gone. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Bad boys, bad boys. So now, when you go to your image, it is more beautiful. However, I changed the padding, so the sizing, I really have to change it back. Go to design, go to spacing, and just change this back. Right, this is way better. And now I want to put it a little bit more down because it's smaller than the other one. So now I want to have more padding. No. Yes. Yes. That's better. That is pretty cool. Yeah, so now it's almost the same size as this one. And it stays there while I change the size of my browser window. All right, so now we go back to sizing. We're gonna make it even more bigger because now we have a beautiful module next to the button. Okay, so let's get back to the fields. And well, it's pretty basic. You can just change anything you like the button text. If you have a button, you can change it right there. And well, that's basically it because it is a really straightforward module and you can place it anywhere you want on your website. So without further ado, let's just go through the next module. So the next module we are not going to talk about is the shop module. Let me show you what happens right now when I add a shop module. It just say no results found. And why is that? Because this is not a WooCommerce website. I will be talking about this module in my videos about how to create a web shop. So sorry guys, but we're going to the next module. So the next module we're going to talk about is the next one in line, and it is the Sidebar module. Now, this is a very useful module. As you can see right now, when I click it, what will be generated? It will actually generate a sidebar from the widgets of your WordPress area. Now, most of the times, I actually don't use any widgets anymore because Divi has made so much modules and they are working so great that I don't need any sidebar area anymore to use the official WordPress widgets. We can now use the modules. However, if you do like to use this one, I would suggest you use it the way it is intended as a sidebar. So where are we going to add this little module? Well, you can of course add it in your pages, but my suggestion would be that you add it into your theme builder. All right, let's head over to your theme builder right now. So here we are at the theme builder and let's see what I would do with the sidebar. I have implemented it for some clients of mine. It is very useful if you want to create some widgets on the right side of your posts. So let's say this is the post content right there. This is the title. This is the content. We're gonna add another row because we need a bigger row for this. We press duplicate. We're gonna change this one because you can duplicate the post content. We're gonna change it right there. We're gonna delete this one, delete this one. Now I have the title here, the post content right there, and my block slider, or no, it's called just a block module right there. This is the way I have built it right there. So what we're gonna do right now is, oh wait, I'm gonna duplicate this one and I'm gonna remove it from there because I want the post content to be a different column structure, a different row structure. So let me show you how that looks. We're going to the column structure and we're going to create a sidebar, so I need some spacing on the right side. Here you go. And we're going to add our sidebar right there. Et voilà, c'est très bien. Now you can change all the things in your sidebar. However, your sidebar is only showing the widgets generated in your WordPress area. So let me show you where that is. If you go to your WordPress dashboard, you go to Appearance, you go to Widgets. Here you can find your sidebar. Ah, here are the widgets shown into the page. As you can see, we have a search bar, we have recent posts and recent comments. Those are exactly the things you see right here, the search, recent posts, and recent comments. All right, so let's add another sidebar just to be safe. You get a warning right there. Don't call it sidebar and anything else because it will conflict with Divi. So we're gonna call it sidebar for our posts. There you go. Now you have to refresh this page or else it won't show. Here we go. So we have now a widget area called Sidebar Posts. And what do I want in there? Actually, I really don't want anything in there, but just to show you guys how it works, you just drag and drop it, about me, and let's add a gallery and add some images. This is awesome. And we're just gonna insert a gallery, and what are we gonna make? About me. And this is such an old thing, I really don't know what I actually should do with it because I never use it this way because those widgets are completely not necessary. However, for some plugins, very old ones, you actually need a sidebar widget because they have no shortcodes, they only have widgets. Then this is a awesome thing. You can even put it on your pages. Sometimes, really sometimes, I guess 1 out of 100, I actually use this for some very outdated plugins who only have widgets and they don't use shortcodes. So here you go. And now when you go back to your theme builder, you can actually choose your sidebar widget area. Well, we have to reload it again, of course. And when I reload it again and I go to my custom body, and then I go back to my sidebar module. Now I can choose my widget area, sidebar posts. And here we go. Here are those sidebar widgets that we have just entered. Now, what can you do with this module? You can style something. So let's say I change the titles to something else. That is all possible. You can make it different size, different fonts, so you can change anything the way you like it, but the problem is you will change everything in your module. So not only one widget, no, it is every widget. If you want to do only one widget, then you have to do it with custom CSS. It is possible, but it will take you a lot of time. Oh yeah, what I'll also love to do with this one, if you're using it, just go for a border to make it a sidebar. As you can see it, let's make it a little bit more grayish. Right, that is great. And all right, let's make it a bit bigger. Just go add a little bit more spacing, a little bit more padding on the left side, like 25 pixels. That's great. And now you have a little bit more space, and you really have a sidebar because it is just with this thing. Also, what I would suggest, if you're using this sidebar, you go to scroll effects and you press this one, stick your sidebar to the top. Why is this? Well, what happens if you scroll? It just sticks there on the top. That is really amazing. And it will stop right there, but I have to change it to stop it. Bottom sticky limit would be another section. Or in this case, another row. See that? So now it just scrolls with me and it stops right there on another row. So this is pretty awesome. If you want to use the sidebar, then you can definitely use this one to perform something really useful. All right. Now, the strange thing is, and I don't know if it's just me or that I haven't encountered it in anything else, is that when you use the sidebar module, you're going to fill it with widgets. Out of nowhere comes this bar on the right side. I actually have no clue what it is doing there. I do know, however, that I always remove it because I hate this little thing. How do we remove it? Well, you have to use some CSS for that. So we're going to save this one. So you go to your custom CSS and you paste in this little snippet right there. And that will create this border right to go to 0 pixels. And what does this mean? It will just disappear. Just save it, and we can see on the front end that this border now is gone. As we reload the page, now your border is gone. It has been hidden with CSS. The sidebar module is only useful if you're using widgets that are really out of date because you don't understand the full power of Divi, or you just have an old dated plugin that uses a widget and you can only use the widget. You can place the sidebar module anywhere on your page, not only in the theme builder, but also on your page to show just one module or one widget. Just don't forget to remove the right border. All right, you can find a snippet for the border in the description of this video. Let's go on to the next module.